on the first page here, my personal favorite is from Aaron Utah.
Yeah, that's what I was going to go to too.
Oh, you want to share? I mean, you can share it.
I was going to go to that one because I love that one too.
Yeah.
Aaron Utah shared, lost my virginity to this song. Thanks, Mike Love. You're welcome, Aaron.
What's happening, everybody? Bryce here, podcast host of Sugarshack, sitting down with the one and only Mike Love. Here we
are. Hey,
everybody. Mike just finished recording a killer session. We cannot wait for you guys to hear it. Mind-blowing stuff, man.
Thanks, man.
Really,
that was fun.
Really fun. So, I mean, just in general, how are you feeling from the session?
Oh, it felt good, man. It felt really good. You know, after taking a, year and a half break from live music, I treasure every chance I get these days. With the instability of the nature of what we do now, it's like, I just so grateful for any opportunity to share, and it was, I really enjoy the Sugarshack because I've done a lot of different video filming things like this over the years, playing live, and it is nice. It's really nice to have like a little audience, and that's a detail I think a lot of people miss, but it really adds an element, an energetic element to it that I think is really crucial. I feel like sometimes it might be a lot more raw, because I'm not as focused on making things really like clean and polished, and I'm a little more focused on just bringing in energy and digging in and pulling something out that hasn't come out of me yet.
Yeah.
And so I think that if the audience isn't there, then I'm just like really like nitpicking on, I missed that, that note, or, and get a little bit more in my head rather than, coming from the heart. So
it's awesome. I mean, that's really what it's about here.
Yeah.
It's that real and raw component.
Yeah.
So we love that. We love to embrace that.
Oh, man.
And showcase it.
Yeah. I love it
the
too.
humanity part of it.
Yeah.
It was so good.
Thanks.
I'm fairly new to the Sugarshack team, and so as I was kind of just getting closer with the guys and kind of we were working on the podcast idea and things like that, they would often kind of let me in on their vision and their journey. Here's the big moments that inspired us, or gave us the creative push to do this. And your song, the High Session song, Permanent Holiday, was one of those moments for Eddie and Justin and the crew, where I'm pretty sure they watched that video and they said to themselves, we can do this. We can do something like this at home and make it our own. And I think it's so cool now for me to sit here with you and think about how something like Permanent Holiday and that video all the way over in High Sessions in Hawaii comes out of you. Of course it's blown up, but comes out of you and inspires them to one of the factors to create the Sugarshack brand. Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, they told me that before, and yeah, it's a great honor, and it's awesome to hear that. I think these days, the Sugarshack channel is such a vast catalog, and a lot of people have told me, I found you through the Sugarshack, Sugarshack videos. And I think it's unique in that it's captured in such a way, and the artists are seem to have a common thread, conscious music, roots music, that whenever a new video comes up, people give it a shot, You know what I mean? Even if it's an artist that they haven't heard of. And I love that about the Sugarshack channel, because it is a lot of artists that I haven't heard of, or maybe people that I've seen their name on a festival lineup or something and haven't heard their music. And it's a really cool and intimate way to experience the music, because it's not the big like show with the full like electric guitars and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
It's a more stripped down version of the songs, and I love that like they're kind of sticklers about that, because you know, like coming in, I did it with my band before, and coming in to do it, you know, we're like, you know, we can't use a full drum kit, you know, like but it's like it does make you think and approach the song a little bit differently. And you know, like for me personally, on my journey, I did the thing with my band, and I've done the solo thing like what I did tonight. And when I started out with like doing the solo thing, I was coming from a place where I was like writing for a 10-piece band that I was the lead singer of, and the, you know, arranger, and I was arranging for all this big, you know, this big band, and I got really hung up on like focusing on the arrangements and making these cool, like, you know, like steel pulse, like, you know, breakdowns, and
totally,
and putting so much emphasis on that I got drawn away from the importance of the core of a song, you know, and having a song that you can strip everything away from, and it's still going to be like just as powerful, just as good as with all of that, you know, candy and glitter and all of that good stuff, fun stuff, which I love too, you know. But going from that big band to doing this just solo thing, it like interrupted my process, because I had been working on songs for years that I just couldn't perform like that. I just couldn't play like that, because it was like, you know, just me and my acoustic guitar, and I couldn't do that like big build up to that big break that needed the horns and needed the backing vocals and everything, and needed the full drum kit, and you know, I just couldn't do that anymore, and the song just didn't make sense. And I'm like, whoa, is it even really a good song then? You know, if you can't just like sit down and play it with your acoustic guitar and sing, like if I couldn't just go like, hey, I wrote this new song, you know, and I have to be playing, and I'd be like, oh yeah, and then this part we're gonna do this big thing where, you know, and it's like, well, yeah,
giving the context while you're trying to sing it at the same time.
It's like, it's just not even like, I mean, it's a song, but it relies on so much, and it made me rethink that, you know. So I think it's cool, and I'm sure probably a lot of the bands that have come through have been, you know, done it and been like, okay, we got to kind of rethink, you know, what songs are going to be good or how we're going to do it, and like, you know, it's great, it's cool, and it gives the channel like something special that nobody else really has, because you know, it's like you're kind of telling the bands, yeah, you got to do it like in our little stripped down way.
Kind of this way. Yeah. It puts the pressure on.
Yeah.
A lot of the artists do. I mean, when they have a big setup and they're used to playing with a full band and they have to come here, a lot of the feedback we get is something along the lines of, you know, we've been in rehearsals for a few days now, trying to rework our sound, but those are some of the coolest moments. And I feel like that's why people love some of the Sugarshack versions so much, because they're unique and they stand alone outside of the album or the live version or things like that.
For sure.
So, I'm so excited to see the feedback on your stuff from tonight.
Man. Me too.
It's going to be really cool. Just talking about your sound a little bit more, and I mean, obviously you've created such a unique sound, and you know, such an amazing following. But if you could pick like 2 to 3 influences on your sound, could be songwriting or sound, who would that be? Like 3 of the most influential people that have made the biggest impact on your sound as a musician.
I mean, you know, Bob Marley, Radiohead, Pink Floyd, the Beatles, the Abyssinians, Clinton Farron. You know, I think like it's so hard to say, man, because like I feel like reggae music is at the core of everything that I do. Even if I write like a folk song that sonically doesn't have that much to do with reggae, the intention and the message and the spirituality of reggae music and Rastafari is at the core of everything that I do. And if I think about like influences, musically, you have all these influences, but like what influences you to be a unique individual? It's not just music,
It's not just the sound. Yeah.
A huge turning point for me in understanding how to bring more depth and dimension into music was having kids, that just opened up my capacity for love and life and understanding the nature of life. And that one thing alone I feel like was more powerful and influential than any piece of music that I ever listened to. And I think that's kind of, I feel like, I'm sure like any of my influences would say the same thing too, because like you go to that well of inspiration, and like when you go there, you don't think like, like I'm going to write a song like Bob Marley. I think like I'm going to write a song about how much I love my children, or like my love for my wife, or how much I care about this beautiful planet or the island I grew up on, and so I think like music influences you, but life influences you more if you're doing it right,
Yeah absolutely. The family's been a big impact on unlocking new writing, new creativity.
Yeah, always.
Do you want unpack that for me a little bit more? Like, how has family played into your life as a musician? I mean, challenges, I'm sure, at times, like
for sure,
being away from home and
yeah, and I mean, being away from home is one thing, but like being home and like being there is
being present
definitely
when you're home.
Yeah, I think is harder.
Yeah,
because like being a good parent it's so hard, man. It's like the hardest thing.
All right, so your kids. So how many kids do you have?
I have four kids.
4 kids. Break the ages down really quick for me.
Let me think, because I have a 10-year-old son, and I have an 18-year-old son, and I have a 20-year-old daughter. I'm trying to think if 20-year-old daughter and a 24-year-old son that's about to turn 25.
They're older now.
Yeah.
I
so
didn't
3 of them are out of the house.
Yeah. Okay. You got 1 left.
Yeah.
I've got a 3.5-year-old daughter, so I'm in the very early stages right now.
Yeah. Enjoy it, man.
Yeah.
I got 1 left that's like in his last few years of like, still being like my little cuddly guy that still gives me kisses on the mouth.
That's
and
great.
It's just like still sleeps in bed with me and my wife. He's 10. He sleeps in between us in bed. He still hasn't moved out of the bed yet.
You're like holding on to those moments.
We're hanging on to it because I mean he's not going to be like 13 and still sleep. He's going to hit that point where he's like, I'm too old for this, and like I'm gonna go hang out with my friends. And I went through that with my other 3 kids. Like they all hit this point right around like 13 where they really start like developing deep friendships that they're like want to go and hang with their friends. And it's so hard, man. Like you'll feel it when you get there. You'll like I've cried alone, man. Just like
the toddler stage right now, I cry alone, but it's a different kind of cry.
Oh man, but it's the best, man. And it's like these moments that you have. It's like they flip so quickly, and the kids grow so fast, and you really just want to hang on so tight to like these moments and these phases, because they go so fast, man, but you can't, and it's like there's no way, and you just gotta like you just gotta be present and enjoy it. And like in the world that we live in, there's it's just constant distraction, and like we're so programmed to be like, you know, like get it done, put, shovel too much onto your plate that you can't even handle it all, and then still try and get it all done. And I'm definitely guilty of like pushing myself way too hard, and like realizing like, you hit a certain point and I'm like, I just gotta say, I just can't get this done. I just gotta put this all down and go and enjoy my time with my kids, because there's not gonna be, another chance. And if all of the rest of this suffers, it's, that's just the way that it's gotta be.
It's secondary.
Yeah, and I had to juggle that balance. I mean, we all do as parents. You gotta juggle it. And I feel blessed and lucky to have music, because I have been like out on tour and spent, like I think the longest I was ever gone from home was like maybe close to 2 months, which is a really, really long time. And usually I'd make my tours for like 2 or 3 weeks and then go back for a while. And, that allowed me to just like be home and not have to work a job. And, I know so many of my friends, and they just like, they work, every day, and work the daytime job, and then you come home and it's hard to like still have energy, or just I just feel blessed to have spent so much time with my kids as they've grown up, and to still be able to spend a lot of time with my son. And just it's so special, and I'm so thankful for that, so grateful for that.
That's awesome.
It's the greatest gift that music has given me, is time with my family.
That's fantastic, and it's such a unique way of looking at it, rather than how has family impacted your music, more as the gift of being able to play music has opened up you to spend more time with your family.
Yeah.
I think that's beautiful.
Yeah. I mean, man, I count my blessings every day, that's for sure.
Awesome.
It's more than just the cup that brings warmth and focus to your daily routine. It fuels good times and new beginnings, and unites old friends. And like live music, we gather wherever it's brewing. Beneath these palms, we discuss our dreams. We share songs of love, intention, and inspiration in its purest form. Every pour sparks creativity, and every sip starts a story.
You mentioned something when you were just talking that I'd like to kind of go into a little bit more. It's something I'm really personally passionate about, and it's the idea of really starting to slow down, to become a more conscious parent, to be more present.
Yeah.
But it's really hard.
Yeah, man.
There's just everything around us in life feels like it's speeding up faster and faster. So what are some practices or things that you've put into your life that have helped you be present? I know you said, there are times where you're like, all right, there's too much on my plate, I just have to put this down and stop what I'm doing. But that's not always possible, so not that it's not possible, obviously it is. But obviously there's also more to it than that. So are there certain practices in your life that have helped you be more present in your home?
Yeah, I think, mindfulness is so crucial. It's like taking the time to self-reflect and meditate, and it's like it can be like a reset, and sometimes we get so caught up in practices that like we never take a step back and think of like, how strange it is that we've like, become addicted to a certain practice, or are connecting like certain practices to our trauma and repeating that, and if we never take the time to slow down and breathe and reflect on everything that we're doing, it's like we just keep going in those cycles, and sometimes for years and years and years. And I think, having a practice of meditation, you know, even if it's through music, you know, if you like playing guitar, and you know, it's like that's a very meditative practice for me. Playing music always has been. And you know, if you sit down and you just say, you know, like, I'm just gonna sit down at the piano for 30 minutes and just play whatever comes out, and I'm not gonna like stop and check my emails for, you know, in between.
Get distracted in the process.
Because it is, you know, we have these phones, you know, in our pockets. Mine's in my pocket right now, but it's turned off. Thank God. You know, or I probably would have been, you know, checking my messages right before this. Sometimes you have to be mindful about taking time, because it's such an addictive device. That's like, and I think about our kids. It's so crazy. They have access to this all the time. It's just a endless stream of entertainment
and content,
and like I got good at and I got good at playing guitar because I just didn't have anything else to do. There wasn't, you know, it's like we couldn't, you know, just go on the TV and pull up a show. It's like we like to watch TV, but there was maybe one thing in the day that came on, and you know, and if you weren't by the TV at 6:30, you know, and you missed your show, it's like, well, that was it, you know.
That's it. Yeah.
And so, you know, I played guitar because I was bored, you know, and I dug really deep into that, or I played piano, or I played music because it was fun and it was something to, you know, to pass the time. And, you know, I think that's how a lot of us got good at whatever we're doing, you know, is like we were bored, you know, we went outside and we played, or we, you know, and now it's so easy. And not our kids either, just like us too, you know, and I'm totally... Like, I just thought, you know, the other day, like I had a really long travel day, and, you know, and I had flights that were delayed, and I was just basically like, just at the airport, like on my phone the whole time, you know, and it occurred to me, like, because, you know, you're in some place that's uncomfortable or whatever, you don't have anything else you can really be doing. So, and you're just sitting there waiting, so you go on your phone, you know? But I thought, you know, when I was a kid, I took flights then too, and it felt so long, and it was so boring, because there was just nothing to do. You didn't have anything else. Right, but what were you doing, you know? I mean, you weren't doing nothing. You were thinking, you were contemplating. And I think that's like a major part of like stagnation in spiritual growth right now, is people just aren't like taking time to just sit and contemplate and think, because we just have such access to interesting things constantly, you know? And so like people aren't thinking for themselves. You know, and I think that's an important practice, just to like say, hey, you know, today I'm just not, I do this from time to time. I'm just not gonna like turn on my phone. You know, if I miss an important message or something, I'll get it tomorrow. And like those are the best days, man. And I get so much done, like, you know, in just projects I'm working on, or like songs I'm writing, or just, it's just such a calming feeling. You know, I think it's all of this like constant it's like low grade anxiety. Always there. Well, and it's just like you don't really ever like take time to just decompress and breathe and like, you know, have some space. So I think that's a, you know,
the phrase that we've kind of coined or starting to in our house is like, how do we parent our devices? Like, all right, we're putting our devices to bed now, you know, and like trying to just get better at that. We've got like a 24-hour day in our week where we shut off every device, and it's just a full day where we're unplugged. We get outside, and if we didn't have that, I don't know if I'd be here right now, you know. But it's
crucial, man. I mean, it's a great practice, you know, and I like everybody should be doing that. And I know there are a lot of people that don't, that just never like, you know. And I mean, imagine like just living in the city and like you're not even getting out
always
to go
plugged in,
hiking or anything, and you're just surrounded by cell phone towers and like, you know, just Wi-Fi antennas.
Concrete jungle.
Yeah, it's just like,
Yeah.
man, it's a onslaught. It's like,
Yeah.
it's, you know, it's like poisoning,
Yeah.
you know?
It's insane.
It's energetic poisoning. And so, you know, you have to like detox from that.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And the best way to detox is just to get your feet in the ground and breathe some clean, fresh air,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you know, release that and
Yeah.
purify.
It's such a
your prana,
catch-22 because what I found is that it's interesting. Mindfulness and nature are so interconnected,
Yeah.
and it's hard to live with one. I don't think you can live with one without the other, in my opinion. And so mindfulness will pull you out into nature.
Yeah.
You know, so I think it's hard for people to get out, because if you do get out and you do try something, all of a sudden this rushing anxiety comes in, you know. So it's an interesting thing trying to detox.
Meaning, like, it's sometimes even hard to.
Well, when you finally do stop, everything that's been going on in your life that you haven't been addressing,
Well,
or
you're
paying
reflecting
attention
on
to,
it,
that
yeah,
your body's
right.
been storing.
Which is why it's necessary to do it often.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Right. Yeah, I feel like, yeah, you know, if you don't do it often enough, then it probably becomes a scary thing, you know.
to avoid.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people, like, even just the career background I'm coming from, it was more like that. Like, people would know that those were good practices, you know, and kind of like that 9 to 5 environment, but it was like avoided at all costs because they were kind of scared what they may find if they did stop and start listening to themselves.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, like you know, I don't know if you've ever done like a float tank, like a sensory deprivation tank,
Yeah,
you know?
I have.
And it's like, I could go in there forever, you know?
Yeah.
I could just like, I'll go in there and float for like a couple hours, and it just, you know, it just goes by so quickly, and I love it, you know? And, but they often say, you know, like, some people just, they can't handle more than 5 or 10 minutes of it, you know? And they just like, it's like that thing, you know, losing sense of the sense of your body and going deep into your spirit. It's like, I find it's like that point in meditation that, like, you know, if you sit and you meditate, it takes a long time to like, you know, stop being really conscious of your physical body and being more and turn your focus to your light body. But, you know, when you go in the tank, it's like instant.
Yeah,
you know,
you're right in it.
Yeah. And
Fidgeting
so it's
around
like,
in the beginning.
Yeah, right. It's just like instant, like meditation. You know, it's like you can't even avoid it. You know.
Yeah.
So, I guess for people that are afraid or have anxiety about facing, you know, their fears or their reflection on their true self, and coming to terms with change, it's got to be like very incredibly heavy, you know. Yeah, I mean, I feel like I've been on such a great and I mean, of course I have like tons of demons and all kinds of stuff I need to work on, but, you know, like, I've also had a really great and blessed path. I grew up in a beautiful place where I was always at the beach and always in the mountains, and you know, I had great and still have great and loving parents, and, you know,
your upbringing, the family of origin, some of that was already like great foundational.
Yeah, I just feel like I've been so blessed in that, and like I don't have like, I mean,
a lot of childhood trauma you don't have to work through.
Right. I mean, I got, you know, I got trauma, but nothing like, you know, maybe from other lives, you know, that I'm still trying to work through. But this life has been really, really a great gift and a great blessing, and I've been very, very privileged and loved and nurtured, and, you know, and that's, you know, I think a major factor in why I just want to play music that like lifts people up and awakens people. And
Yeah, and
Fills 'em with
why
love.
your reputation everywhere you go is that you're one of the most loving people that they interact with. you
Well,
know?
that's good to hear.
Yeah. I mean, look, just reading all of the thousands of comments just on the Sugarshack videos, you know what I mean? And just people that have come across you, you know, and just that one hug turning their day around, their life around, you know. We'll get into more of that later, but yeah, it's so, I wouldn't even say inspiring's the right word, but when you get around someone like you, it's that same thing that we were talking about in the beginning. It just sparks that creativity. It's your presence, and that's what's so cool. It's like to be a loving and challenging presence. And I don't know if you feel that way, but I feel that in your energy, and even just being around you or with the session tonight, is you can be such a loving person, but that can be challenging to people. Being fully present is a challenging presence, because there are a lot of people, I think, that are running really, really fast. They are very, very distracted, and it's hard to even for them to hold eye contact for 60 to 90 seconds in a conversation. And so when you are very grounded, loving, and present, it's almost like a discomfort that people feel. Do you sense that? Do you feel that from your perspective when you're out and about, or I don't know? I mean,
I feel like, you know, that's kind of universal.
Yeah, sure.
You know, you'll meet, I mean, if you're comfortable in your skin and you're just being yourself, you'll meet all kinds of people that are, you know, like you said, hard to make, you know, eye contact, or just I feel like we're all made so differently too, you know. And some people just like my wife, for example, she's like very much come into her own, and just the understanding that she's an empathic person. She doesn't like she's a very comfortable in herself and in her skin, and she's like had a lot of issues with that over the years, but she's come to understand that she just isn't comfortable in like energetically chaotic situations, you know. And I'm like the opposite. Like, I can go into a busy bustling room, I can walk into a, you know, like a subway station surrounded by people going by, and like I'm not gonna absorb any of that, you know. And like I can be in a room making music, and like, you know, people, it can be a heavy emotional situation, and then after the show I'm like meeting everybody and hugging everybody, and like if she was doing that, like, you know, she'd have to go home and sleep for 2 weeks after one show, you know, just to recover from it, because she absorbs it all, and you know. And I think that's a big part of my gift, and what I would like, I've just built like an energetic tank or something, you know. Like I just like, if there's bad vibes, you know, like I can feel it, but like I'm not going to take it on, you know. And of course, you know, there's always an element of like, you know, energy flow and absorption, and you know, I have my own techniques for cleansing and clearing my energy, but for the most part, it's like I can, you know, that's just how I'm built. That's how I was made, and it goes so well with what I do, you know. But I think, like, I've come to realize that I can do that, and it's good. Like, I feel like those people that maybe like are having those issues just maybe haven't realized, like, they're just not comfortable in certain situations, and like they don't need to force themselves to be in that situation. They just need to create a reality and existence where they can be comfortable, and like it's and people who are like empathic in that way, and they can be really, like, my wife is a very powerful energy healer, you know, but it has to be like on her terms.
Sure.
And that's one of the great things that she taught me. You know, it's like you have to learn how to create your own boundaries, and you can't you can't give in to guilt or those kind of things that a lot of people use to manipulate each other.
Yeah.
And you have to be able to stand up for yourself and stand strong, stand firm in your boundaries and in what you need.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that I've been learning more recently is I sort of have that concept of like being that energetic tank and just like going like I can take anything. I can do it all.
Yeah.
But then I get into tendencies and habits that are so negative and self-destructive, I think, because there is a certain point that anybody can push themselves, and part of why I've pushed myself so far beyond my limits a lot of times is out of a feeling of responsibility and the feeling that I've been given this gift and so many people need it, and I got to just get it out and do it as much as I can and get it out, and and because of that I tend to neglect my self-care, which is not smart in the sense of longevity.
Yeah.
And I had to kind of take a step back and say, well, I want to be around to grow to be an old man for this whole beard to be white,
Yeah.
and still playing music and still.
And back to the
feeling-
family stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm learning that now. It's like if I'm not taking care of myself, like that, it's just transferred.
You're going to be an angry dad.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like whatever's inside of me is just automatically being transferred to my daughter. And so if I am in this really agitated, burned out state, that's what I'm passing on to her.
Yeah.
That's what I'm modeling for her.
Yeah, and you can try and fake it, but it's like that doesn't go.
It only goes so far. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, or it goes really far, and then your children become adults. I don't know. Just from my family background, I realized wait, there's a lot of lack of authenticity here.
Well, you repeat the same,
right.
behaviors that your parents model for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's a lot of like bad habits that you pick up from your parents,
unlearn a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
For sure. So I'm curious. Everybody's gone through such a roller coaster the past year and a half in different ways. Has it been challenging for you and your family?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
We were planning. I'm born and raised in Hawaii, and we had kind of planned eventually. My wife is from Washington, and we had planned eventually to move to Washington to get more space. Hawaii is very there's just so many people there now, and it's just really, really overcrowded. And so, we had talked about it for a long time, and then, I make basically a majority of my living touring, playing shows, and then that got taken away. So it's like it became hard financially, and then we realized, well, now is the time. So we just it came really quick, and we moved really quick, and it was very it was one of the most anxiety-filled things I've ever done, and I never really thought I would move away, but everything just aligned, and it was the right thing to do, and I knew it was the right thing to do, and so we moved. But it came so quick, man, that I just it was nuts, it was so hard, and it's been a huge transition, but it's been great, and change is good. We're in a new chapter, and it's really beautiful. We're way out in the middle of nowhere in eastern Washington, and we have no neighbors close by. Our neighbors are like nobody that you could see or hear.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's like I go out at night and I, you know, look at the stars and I can't hear any, you know, like now we can hear the cars going by in the distance, and like there's just none of that, you know. It's so peaceful, and yeah, it's amazing, but there's been so much uncertainty, you know, and even now there's still so much uncertainty, and I think that anxiety that comes from that uncertainty, you know, a lot of people haven't dealt with it well, or haven't dealt with it at all. And I work with a lot of people, you know, I have a management team and an agent, and I have a lot of musicians that play with me, and it's been rough because we built something, and it's like I started, like you saw me tonight, you know, by myself, and I built a band over the years, and I added musicians, and the more you know, popular we got, and you know, the more money we made, so I was able to pay and support a bigger family and bring a bigger family out on the road, and you know, and then 2020 was going to be like our biggest year. We were finally going to tour in like a tour bus, like, you know, we've done so many tours in minivans, and you know, and then we graduated to sprinter vans, and then it was like, you know, so it was like we were doing really good, and I was supporting a lot of people, and then, you know, it's like that was one of the hardest things for me to swallow, is be like, man, I can't even really support myself right now, and all of my, you know, guys and gals are like, you know, struggling, and I feel like, you know, we all have to kind of figure out other stuff, and thankfully they're all, you know, innovative and ingenuitive individuals.
Back to the responsibility thing, right?
Yeah.
Like, all right, we all got to figure out how to get by on our own now.
And you know, and over the years, like, I've worked with people that put that responsibility on me, and that's one of my boundaries that I found, and that's and like, thankfully I don't work with anybody like that anymore, and those people kind of have a way of weeding themselves out and making things difficult for themselves until they just take care of themselves. And you know, it's a terrible thing to feel like you have to take care of somebody that really should be taking care of themselves.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's all attached to guilt, you know, and so thankfully when this, you know, whole thing hit, like, you know, as much as I wanted to take care of everybody, I knew, you know, they can take care of themselves, and they've all been able to take care of themselves, which is great. And that's a great feeling.
Yeah.
You know, to know that, and to be able to come back to it and be like, yeah, we're all still good. We've all been making it. And, you know, like, but yeah, it's hard. And, you know, you look out in the world, and, you know, I think the worst part of all of this is, like, you know, how much division that's come out of it, and people are divided now more than ever, and it's a like cleverly, cunningly designed system to not only turn people against each other, but force them to be very, very specific and open about like, you know, their takes on things, and their personal policies. And, you know, I think it's cleverly designed to turn us against each other, designed by our common enemy, you know, and most people don't understand that. And that's been the hardest thing, you know, the hardest thing. It's like, you know, I just, there's so much suffering, so much pain, so much division, and so much anger, and I just see people that love each other at odds with one another, and it just doesn't make sense, you know.
Yeah. It is. It's been heartbreaking, and I think that what the world needs desperately now are people like you, Mike. I mean, it goes back to the people of courage that have a backbone, but the backbone doesn't look like a big loud voice. The backbone, I think, is the courage to be themselves and to stay rooted in who they are, but still stay connected. Like, hey, I can be me, you can be you, but we can still be connected, you know?
Yeah.
And that's, I think, the challenging presence part of it. But people flock to that too,
Yeah.
I believe. And so I'm hoping and praying and believing that we'll see, as much as there's division, something new that comes out of even, I mean, it sounds stupid to say or whatever, but just humanity, that something new's birthed out of us that kind of starts to go up against the kind of plague of anxiety, chronic anxiety on a we're not even talking about on a personal level now, we're talking about like on a societal level. We're seeing it play out, you know.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's I believe, you know, all of this is divine, and I think it's necessary, you know, and all of these things that are happening now, it's what we've been singing about all of our lives, and all of this stuff is coming to fruition now, and it's what we've been singing about. It's what Bob Marley has been singing about. It's what John Lennon's been singing about. It's what, like, you know, and these things are all coming to fruition now, and it's a really, you know, frightening more than ever for our children, you know, especially because we want to protect them, keep them safe from, you know, as this crazy world that we're living in. And, you know, we just have to trust that all of this is necessary. And like you said, I mean, it's an evolution. It's an evolution of humanity. And I believe that, you know, as reincarnated souls, we're on this journey, on a very much longer journey than this very finite life that we're in here. And you look around and you see, you know, these really enlightened beings, you know, and then you see, you know, the opposite, people that are just, you know, in such a dark place and just living for, you know, greed or murderers or, you know, violent people. And I feel like we're all at these different points of our journey, and I'm just like somewhere in between all of that, you know. But I think, like, even that murderer, that rapist, it's like, you know, committing those like darkest of acts that we couldn't understand, like somebody like you or me couldn't even understand, having the desire to do something so dark and so, you know, full of anger and hate. But I still feel like those people in that dark place are still moving towards the light. And I feel like we're all on a journey moving towards enlightenment, and even though it doesn't seem like some people are, I feel like they are, because I feel like that's the essence of human nature, is just that innate desire to be a little bit better every day.
Yeah.
You know, and most times we fail, you know, most times we, you know, most days we probably get worse, but it's like the desire, you know, and that desire keeps you on a path to become better. And I feel like, you know, even in, like, maybe we understand that darkness, and we can't fathom wanting to do that because maybe we've already had those experiences in past lives, and we moved away from that and moved forward and got to where we are now. And I certainly don't feel like, you know, I'm enlightened or like a, you know, a guru or anything like that, but I'm moving towards the light, you know, and I see that in everybody. And I think that because of that, like, there's no power. There's no group of powerful, elite, rich businessmen that control every aspect and movement of this system, this economic system that we live in. It's like that's all just finite.
Yeah.
And even those that are involved in that, for whatever reason they came to that place and they were led to that place, or enticed by that greed and that power. That's all part of the growth of the human soul, and that's part of our nature as well, to be tempted by those things, to be tempted by all of these great tempting pleasures that surround us, that we easily can indulge in, and are right at our fingertips.
Yeah. More distractions.
Right. Right. And that's part of the journey, is understanding that it's not always, it might taste great to eat 12 jelly donuts, but it's not like gonna get you any farther on your path to spiritual enlightenment. It's gonna do the opposite.
Yeah.
And so I think I think I'll always have faith in our higher selves, which is God, which is Jah, which is the Most High, and that's what I feel like we're all moving towards.
Yeah.
So anytime I start getting like really spun out and feeling anxiety, I just have to come back to that and remember that thought, like even for my children, I met, a man, and he told me about one of his grandchildren who, went through a horrible medical procedure, and he feels like was like killed by negligence of the people at the hospital. And he said it wasn't hard for him to process that, because he came to terms with the idea that was his grandson's time on this earth, and that was what he came here to do, and he didn't live very long, but he came here to bring that light for that amount of time, and then he's gone and on to his next journey. And I think that's a really great and beautiful way of looking at it. And in all my spiritual and meditative practices, that's what I've always come back to, is like, this life here is just a small, like, chink in the armor of our journey, and it is continuous and ever evolving. And so whatever gnarly and crazy stuff happens in this lifetime, it's necessary, and we all chose to be here at this time and experience all of this together, and we're all contributing to it in our own unique ways, so
that's awesome. Love it. I love it. Hey, look, are you tired of waking up in the morning with a gnarly hangover from drinking too much booze? We've got a really, really awesome alternative for you. It's called Goodfellow Botanicals. Goodfellow makes euphoric, mood-enhancing, non-alcoholic teas. They're kratom-based, and right now we're offering a spiced honey citrus blended flavor. Kick back, relax, pour yourself a glass at home, at the beach, hanging out with friends, get social with it, hang out, pick up a growler. You can head over to @Goodfellow Botanicals on their Instagram to place an order, to learn more about what goes into their euphoric tea blends. Enjoy, kick back, hang with us, enjoy some Goodfellow. Speaking of how we're all contributing to that journey, I've got it back here, but we sifted through the thousands of comments on your YouTube page, on our YouTube page. Here, grab this.
All right.
Of just some of fans' comments, commenting, contributing to your journey. So I thought we could just go through some of these and just share the ones that stuck out as we kind of close the podcast out. On the first page here, my personal favorite is from Aaron Utah.
Yeah, that's what I was going to go to too.
Oh, you want to share? I mean, you can share it.
I was going to go to that one because I love that one too.
Yeah.
Aaron Utah shared, "Lost my virginity to this song. Thanks, Mike Love." You're welcome, Aaron.
I think that was Gonna Make It. I think that was off the Gonna Make It one from the same P. And I was like, I guess he made it.
It's a different.
He made it.
It's a different
interpretation.
Yeah, I like it. Awesome. These are all so good.
I love the Cecilia one. Whoever that one dislike is must be a miserable person. Like on the YouTube thing, the like or the dislike.
That's a pretty common comment on a lot of my videos. A lot of people say, like, oh, those 4 people must be so miserable, or, and I feel like to go on a video and dislike it, it's a reaction to a stimulation, and for example, like I'll take a song of mine, Earthlings, that's about that I wrote about this incredible movie that exposes like the the animal agriculture industry, the dairy industry, the meat industry, and it's it's about going vegan and the fur industry and everything, every aspect of it, and I wrote a song about it, and of course, all the vegans love it,
Hot topic.
And but I've also had, I gotta say, probably in the thousands of people that over the years have told me, that song, got them to go vegetarian or go vegan, and I've had a lot of people tell me, at first they heard that song and they didn't even want to finish it. They just made them angry, And I feel like, for somebody to, but then in the end, that anger that they felt made them realize, I'm feeling that anger because this is resonating with me, because I actually it's actually making sense, and it's making me confront something that I've been a party to, and I don't want to anymore, but it's going to make me, it's like that change is uncomfortable, And so I always say, like if somebody took the time to watch, like if you just didn't like it, like if I hear a song that I don't like on YouTube or I'm not really digging, like I don't take the time to dislike it, to thumbs it down. Like I just go to another song.
Yeah.
So whoever disliked it, like they disliked it enough, like it rubbed them the wrong way enough for them to go like, this guy, I'm gonna dislike this,
Yeah.
But I feel like that, like they're gonna come back to that. Like it's something that rubbed them the wrong way enough to make them dislike it enough, so that I think whatever I was saying in the song, or whatever it is about me and my energy that rubbed them the wrong way, is affecting a change within them, and I think it's fine. It doesn't bother me like when people dislike my video. I mean, I'm surprised it's not more, I'm not like like I'm not your,
you're not a crowd pleaser,
regular, like I'm not a very like I feel like I'm pretty unique in what I do, and sometimes pretty radical and weird. Like in my appearance, in my singing style, and my playing style, and the lyrics that I say, and the way that I do things, it's like pretty radical and different sometimes, and I could see how, like, if I wasn't me and I saw it, like I'd be like, this is weird. I mean, like there's been plenty of artists like like Ani DeFranco or Dave Matthews or something. At first I was just like, oh God, I don't not like this. I don't not like the way this person sings, and then eventually like I got it, and it was like, oh, I really like this a lot, like it's so unique, and so I'm fine with that.
We just saw Dave, actually, because that was my journey. It's like in the beginning I was like, wait, what? And then you get hooked, and then Dave.
Right. Well, you hear like I don't know, like Ants Marching
Yeah.
and Tripping Billies and
Yeah.
but there's a lot of deeper songs than that stuff,
Yeah.
and that was the stuff that was on the radio.
Right.
But what did it for me is the Dave and Tim Live at Luther College album.
Oh yeah.
And I heard that, and I was like, it was just Dave like playing his songs with his guitar, and Tim, obviously Tim
Yeah.
Reynolds is like a incredible guitar player. So, hearing that and stripped down, and I was just like, wow, these songs are so good, man, and so
For me,
unique.
it was the Radio City, the Dave and Tim at Radio City. But yeah, same type of a deal. I got hooked on the acoustic stuff for sure.
Yeah.
Why again, Sugarshack acoustics? So
Yeah.
important.
Yeah, but then I went back to the band, and it's like the most incredible band, and
Yeah, totally.
yeah.
I love this one on the second page right here. Mike Love is my spirit animal. Have you ever been compared to being a spirit animal before?
That's I've definitely seen quite a number of people make that comment.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's another very common one. Mike Love is my spirit animal. It's cool. I guess I kind of like think of myself as like a big crazy Muppet sometimes,
Yeah, sure.
Like,
I get it. I feel you.
It was wild,
Yeah.
But
I
yeah.
dig it.
So yeah,
There
I
are
could see
worse
being a
spirit animals, I suppose.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, that's cool.
There's a couple on here. I think this is cool. I'm on the the third page or whatever.
Okay.
But
I'll skip ahead to that.
oh, you see something that stands out to you?
No. I mean, this song saves my life on the daily.
That's what I'm on.
Okay,
I
cool.
was about to say that one too.
Yeah,
That's
I
a
mean,
big
I think that's one of the things that I treasure most about making this music is like so many people have shared things like that where they were just like in a really hard place and a tough time, or dealing with the loss of a loved one, or not knowing how to move forward in life, and being in a really scary place, and having a song that was just brought them back.
Yeah.
And I never really thought about that when I started writing songs, that was even possible. And it's incredible to know that you've saved somebody's life with what you do, and it just makes it's over the years it's made me work a lot harder and be a lot more devoted and grateful, and push myself to create more songs, as many songs like that as I can, to help people, because I think about, for me, I mean, obviously I'm a musician, and music is a huge part of every step that I take, every breath that I take. And I've had many times in my life where I just couldn't get the tears out, or just to let that flow, and then you hear that song and you realize there's something that's been blocked in there that you haven't let go of, and it just strikes that chord, and the tears just start flowing, and you let all that go, and it's the most amazing release that might be impossible without music.
Yeah.
And that celebration, or that, or if you're really angry and you want to get it out, and you put on your Metallica, or it's that's the beauty of music, is there's this huge spectrum of music to cover every emotion you could possibly think of, in every scenario you could think of, and music is so universal. So you can take some lyrics that I wrote about my cat, and they could make you think of your grandmother, it's amazing. Music,
so cool.
It's universal.
This is something interesting. This is on the next page. This person said, "This is an amazing man who has given his soul to music." My question to you is, do you think that's true? have you given your soul to music?
Yeah, I think I gave my soul to music long before this life. Yeah. Yeah, I think music is, it's been in my path for, before I was born into this life.
Yeah. So you do resonate with that statement?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. No,
For sure.
awesome.
I mean, I can't imagine a world without music at its center,
Yeah.
Yeah, music
Cool.
it's the best.
Makes sense why, yeah. This is great. Mike makes me want to find an off-the-grid community with self-sustaining farms to live. Sounds like what you're also trying to do.
Yeah.
Mike would
yeah.
like that also.
Yeah, trying to build the community.
That's it.
Yeah.
Any other ones standing out
Yeah,
to
this
you?
kept me going through the pandemic and still is, I started doing like live streams through this whole thing and it helped me through, it being able to keep in touch with my community and just to keep playing music and keep sharing music. And like, I don't think doing live streams could ever take the place of live music, because I feel like what we had here tonight, it's like we captured it on video, but for the people that were
Yes.
here, it's something completely different.
It's magical.
It's energetic.
It's special. Yeah.
Yeah. And and there's just you can record it, and you can capture it, but you're just capturing the performance, but the energy is really, really hard to translate through, because there's something about being in the same space.
Mm-hmm.
And, even with like a live stream, it's like you're performing live, you're there live, and you can, we're all connected through an energy grid, and we can send energy all around the world.
Yeah.
And I could definitely feel energy coming in, through the live streams. But there's this amazing thing when you're there in the same moment with people, because you can feel energy move and shift and grow and change and rearrange itself in real time. And it affects everybody that's experiencing it, including myself. So if I'm playing a song and I get to a point that's, where I'm going really deep, and I just feel everybody going there with me, it brings me deeper.
Yeah.
And it's like, you can't get that with a live stream, because everybody's not in the same time. There's always an amount of latency.
Yeah.
And I feel like you can send energy in real time, but they haven't figured out how to broadcast performance in real time. There's always latency. So, so yeah, I mean, but that being said, the live stream's like the next best thing.
Yeah, sure.
And it helped me through, and a lot of people said that it helped them through. And as I've got busy again, I was doing Mike Love Mondays, and as I've got a bit busy again with touring and stuff, I've kind of stopped doing that. But I'm working on bringing it back, because I know a lot of people still need it, and I still need it too. So I'm working on that. Part of the problem is that I moved to a place where live streaming is impossible. I'm on like a satellite Wi-Fi, and it's just not.
Yeah.
Like, you just can't do it. It's not possible. It's like just come out like pixels and
yeah. Maybe it's time for that. I don't know. Certain projects, they live their life like it met that need
right
in that moment.
Right.
But maybe.
Yeah, I still think it was something that I never did before, and I started doing it, and I realized, it's like, it's just reaching people all over the world in places that maybe I'll never tour. I've never toured in Africa yet, but there were a lot of people that tuned in from all over Africa regularly. You know, a lot of places that I've never been to, and people tune in from. You know,
That's awesome.
so yeah.
Cool. Mike, thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you,
just
brother.
to coming out
Yeah,
here.
it's
And
great chat.
excited you start touring tomorrow.
Yep.
Is that true?
Yeah.
You and Natalie Rice start your
Yep.
first show tomorrow
Yep.
for a while.
Yeah.
You got a little of the jitters out here,
Yeah.
and then now you'll be able to crush some live music shows again.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to say before we wrap up here?
Oh, just want to say thanks. Thanks for the opportunity. Thanks for the, you know,
Yeah.
it's great talking to you.
It's great. I loved
Good
it. Loved every
conversation.
second of it. Yeah.
Thanks, man.
Guys, make sure that you spread the word about the Sugarshack podcast. Share this with your friends. Leave some comments. Hit the like button, not the dislike button. Unless it rubs you the wrong way, then hit it. We'll know.
Yeah.
We'll be watching.
Yeah, I mean, with the way things go today, that probably, you know, algorithmically,
might
like
help out a
a
little
dislike
bit.
probably is better.
Yeah.
You know what? Do us a favor and thumbs
Dislike.
it down. You know,
No, don't do that.
It'll get more up in the you know,
Right.
shares.
You can also find us streaming on Spotify for the podcast, Apple Music. Go to our Instagram at Sugarshack Sessions, and also be super helpful for us. Just leave a review on the podcast. We're trying to get some momentum out there for it, and so we can keep delivering the stuff that you guys love and want more of. So that's a huge help for us if you could do that. And yeah, that's a wrap, Mike.
Yeah.
Love you, man.
brother.
Thank
Love
you.
you too, man.
It's been great.
Thank you, guys.
Let's give it up.
Aloha.
Come on. That's a wrap.
Cool. Sweet.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Come to take the power back, yo. Hey, family, welcome to the Sugar Shack, yeah. You want good vibes, we got a real big stack, yeah. Oh, Lord.